The slice of life genre is one of my favorites for many reasons, but largely it's because I've always found entries in that genre so relaxing to watch that it really helps me on days where I feel like the world is terrible and there's no goodness left in it. Slice of life shows offer this usually quite light and fluffy alternate take on the world, using its characters' lives as a focal point. It stars people that have fairly uninteresting lives, and that can kind of be the point. Sure, when crossed with other genres, you can have fantastical romance, exciting adventures, and supernatural mishaps, but the core of the genre, the pure elements to it, are just the simplicity of life and how engaging that can still be. Today we are going to be talking about an anime that technically have some science fiction elements to it, but mostly it is this charming little series about a young girl who is learning to become an undine, a woman who steers wooden gondolas for tourists through the waterways of a fantastical city called Neo Venezia. It's a series that's never really been given an exceeding amount of spotlight here in the West, despite its multiple seasons in Japan. But with the recent announcement and commencement of a Kickstarter to get the series dubbed, link in the description, I figured it was a good enough time to go over it quickly for those who may have never watched or heard of it before. Ladies, gentlemen, and others, my name is Arcada, and welcome to Glass Reflection. Today we are taking a look at the original 2005 series from director Junichi Sato. I give you Aria, the animation. Let's jam. Now, I mentioned briefly that the series has science fiction elements to it, but that mostly just covers the initial setting of the show and some supernatural elements that are known to happen from time to time. The show takes place on a planet called Aqua, formerly known as Mars. After terraforming the planet, they colonized it and built beautiful-looking cities, such as the one that is the setting for most of the show, Neo Venezia. A city that employs young women who steer and guide tourists, and who try to make those customers have the best time they can possibly have. The show's main character is a young girl named Ikari, the second of only 2 employees at one company that offers gondola services throughout the city. She is not a full undine yet, however, and is still in training. But it's her experiences with this world and its people that make up the majority of the show's story. As Ikari learns more about the city and her new profession, she comes to meet various people that either inhabit or visit this world. And while the show has a strong character arc for Ikari personally, it's these individual stories that make the show shine. I realize that some of this series seems uninteresting on paper. It's kind of the major failing of describing shows like this to people. You can't really appreciate what the series is without experiencing it. As much as I can say that young girls in gondolas roaming around an alternate Venice is interesting, it's hard to explain why. Similar to why I can recommend the anime Planetes constantly for the past 8 years, despite finding people not believe me when I say that the show is interesting because they don't find the idea of space janitors to be appealing. They're wrong, by the way. Planetes is amazing. But like Planetes, in Aria, it's the characters and their personalities that keep the series entertaining. Beyond Akari's curious and somewhat carefree nature, you have the sometimes harsh and cynical Aika, the talented but distant Alice, both of their senpais, Akira and Athena, as well as President Aria, a cat, as it is tradition in the city of Neo Venezia to have their presidents be blue-eyed cats, though President Aria acts much more like a stereotypical mascot for the show rather than a traditional cat character. Also, don't ask me why every character has a name that starts with the letter A. It's a weird quirk that's never really explained. That's part of the show's charm, though, I think. There are plenty of events throughout the series that can't really be explained. Chalk it up to the science fiction setting if you want. There is some level of suspension of disbelief that is required here, but it's all presented in a very lighthearted way to make you really not care all that much about the minute details of everything. Now, while I could continue to sing the show's praises for a while, I might as well bring up the times that the show gets a little shaky, and that's mostly in the animation department. The series was produced by HAL Filmmaker back in the mid-2000s, and it was a time when studios were experimenting with combining blended cell and digital animation for the characters, alongside some not-so-subtle CG elements to flesh things out. In this case, the CG is mostly used for the water and the oceans of the world. While it does leave shots with some very animated water, somewhat fitting for a show that contains a lot of it, there are plenty of other times where the harsh edges of the CG elements clash with the more traditionally used animation. HAL Filmmaker have used CG to great effect before, see its use for the Drosselmeyer clock overlays in Princess Tutu. But since Aria is supposed to be this very light and calming series that takes place in this peaceful, water-filled town, having the water seem a bit harsher and uninviting at times was occasionally a mood breaker. The rest of the animation, though, made up for it a lot. What also helped was the calming and peaceful musical score. On top of the regular soft but upbeat soundtrack, the series also does something unique with its opening sequence. Where other shows might take a popular 1.5-minute song and create some impressive but reusable animation to slot in at the start of each episode, Aria takes a different route entirely. There is no uniform animation for the show's opening. Aria instead opts for some lighthearted scenes with either panning shots of the city or just our characters getting ready to tackle the day, shown over top of the show's opening theme. A theme that, instead of being one uniform song used every episode, is rather a song with the same melody each time, but new lyrics to fit the episode to come. It's an extremely unique way of opening a show that you rarely see. It added a good extra 1.5 minutes to the watch time of every episode since you don't have to skip the opening every time, which I liked because more of this show is a good thing. As I mentioned, there is no dub. Yet. At the time of this video, the Kickstarter for the dub is still ongoing, so I can't say how good the dub will be. I can only speculate and draw up some dream picks for the cast. But it's up to the creators of the dub to choose the cast wisely. And I hope they do. Very wisely. The Japanese dub has many aspects to it that will be difficult to recreate in the new dub. Akari in particular has her unique brand of ditziness that somehow never became annoying in the Japanese. In fact, there were many a time where her exclamations of were rather relatable and endearing. Plus, I'm curious about how the translators are going to handle Alicia's verbal tick of starting every sentence with The likability of her character in the dub kind of hinges on this. Hopefully, though, the dub will be fully funded with as many seasons as it can have, and that the dub itself will be worthy of the show it belongs to. I know I have a particular bias towards not just this series, but other shows like it for its similar content. It's these relaxed shows that I just adore because of how they make me feel when watching them. Like a warming soup for the soul, Aria has the potential to be the most charming and calming little show you watch this month. That said, it is made for a particular audience, like me, who loves this sort of thing. There will be cynics out there who will find Aria to be a waste of time, and restless watchers who won't be able to handle its slower pace. But if the show does fit your niche, it most definitely is one that you should watch if you haven't already. And so I would like to present Aria the animation with the rating of buy it. You may not be comfortable with buying all of it because it does extend beyond this initial 13-episode series quite a bit, but as an introduction to the world and its characters, it does a fantastic job. If you are looking to buy the show, you can, as it is available on DVD from Nozomi Entertainment, and they are the publishing arm of RightStuffAnime.com. The first season is also available for streaming over on Crunchyroll if you happen to have access to that site, though the subsequent seasons are only available for streaming on Viewster at present, with the OVAs nowhere to be streamed at all, unfortunately. If you watch the show, though, and are looking for something similar, I would like to point you towards two other shows that have slice-of-life elements and give off the same sort of feeling, even if they lean a bit more towards drama and adventure kinds of storytelling, respectively. First up, Haibane Renmei, a lovely little series about a group of angels who live their humble lives just outside of a human village. While it is a charming series and has many of the heartwarming elements that make Aria great, it also does contain some darker elements, so be warned. Similarly, Kino's Journey is another series that I enjoy watching for very similar reasons that I enjoyed Aria. Plus, with Kino's sequel upcoming, now would be a good time for you to check out the original series if you haven't yet. And between those two, you should hopefully find something to your liking. And that's it for me. As usual, I would like to thank all my patrons who support these videos, because without your support, these videos would not be possible. More specifically, though, I would like to thank Joshua Garcia, Hedril Leon, Bing Theo, Robert Chumzai, Calhoun Boy, Siri Yamiko, and Victor Ekmark for being especially awesome. You have my thanks. And until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, stay frosty.